It's time for another wellness library card. We got good deeds, finally a different one, and it goes celebrate your friends' accomplishments. This is a really good one. And it's interesting that I get this one specifically because I remember being online. I saw a video with a title that piqued my interest. I haven't watched it, but I'm thinking that maybe I'll talk about that topic before I watch it just to see what kind of thoughts I have on my own before I watch this video and perhaps their thoughts contaminate mine. That's usually how I go about topics that may be popular. If I don't know anything about it or I have never heard anyone else's opinion on it, let me perhaps produce my own before I watch another one that may influence me and I may not realize that I was influenced by it. It was, your happiness offends me. Something like that. And I can understand that, but at the same time, it's stupid. The reason I can understand it is because sometimes there are people who are so into their excitement, so into their accomplishment, that you let that overtake you to the point that it becomes a disruption. Trust me, it is okay for you to be happy, especially in the kind of world that we're living in now, right? But I also think that it's still your responsibility to be considerate about whether or not it is a good time for you to be expressing yourself and behaving yourself in the way that you are. You should be considerate because not everyone is having as great a time as you. And that's just the reality of things. It's not something that anyone should be ashamed of. I personally had an experience like that. I had somebody tell me that they had a great time seeing somebody, they were excited about it and describing things, and suddenly I thought I could comment on it, on the situation. Usually, if you guys notice, the way I like to comment on things is I like to share with you the way that I can relate to what you're saying. I forgot to mention, the way that you'll know I cannot relate to what you're saying without me saying I cannot relate to what you're saying is I'll start asking you questions to deepen my understanding of what you're going through. And I guess some people misinterpret that as I'm selfish, I want all the attention, I'm trying to be the center of the universe, and I cannot accept hearing about other people. To describe it further, I was simply describing how someone we know is experiencing a good season right now and how they got there. And I was simply expressing, oh, I hope that I can represent the same kind of blessing on your life, since we have a project in common that will bring us together in the way that these individuals experienced the benefit that they experienced. And I was called selfish, and I was told that I need to learn how to share, and that not everything is about me, and that my timing is terrible, blah, blah, blah. They did not want to hear anything from me or about me. And then all I wanted to say, since the person took it that way, I said, you know what? If you're ever interested at all in anything I have to say, in anything I have to contribute, whenever it is my turn, you let me know. I'm gonna have to give in, especially as a Leo, because I guess I'm really that much of a brute, that much of an inconsiderate animal, and I never get this right. You educate my uncultured self on how to manifest socially better to your standards. But then I'm always wondering why people get offended that you can have your moment of celebration, but the other person may not be in a season of celebration and they wish to share. What better privilege in life than having someone willing to express their vulnerabilities at you, right? But it's their turn, and what they have to offer and express is that something is not going so well in their lives. Don't look at it as you're tainting my celebration, you're ruining my day, my moment, my accomplishment. You live in this planet. This planet is huge, with planets that are even huger. than this one. Not everyone is going to be on your same frequency. And some people can try to join you at your frequency. This is in spite of whatever it is that they're going through that they don't feel like celebrating. Some people can do that. Some people can be like, oh, okay, well, since this is a moment of celebration for this person, I wish that I had my turn at saying something. Let me not say something so they don't get offended. I think that's stupid. We're all adults. Well, in my case, I don't know a child in my life. What I talk to in the daily is adults, and in my future, all I have intended is to have conversations with adults. We're all adults. Why can you not handle this like an adult? It's like you're a little kid who gets a prize. Say you get cake for your birthday, but because it's your birthday, let's say that your birthday isn't like May and you have final exams, all of a sudden I'm supposed to not remind you that you got homework and you got things to study because you are ruining my birthday. That's how little kids act. Or say it's the middle of April, you have tests, homework, projects due, but because you were born on such a time or something like that, or say you have an older brother and that older brother, say you have an older sibling and this older sibling is getting married during that season, something like that, I'm not supposed to, let's say that you're very happy that your brother is very happy that he's getting married and that type of thing, and I'm supposed to just let you become irresponsible because you're celebrating that your brother is celebrating. Come back to reality. Do not forget about reality. You can have your moment of celebration in the same manner that you can have your moment of coming back to this plane and remembering that there are problems and there are things that people wish to talk to you, and the timing may not always be opportune. The person who got mad at me, let's say that they got mad at me for what I was trying to share at that moment in time, which is something that actually connects to what they're saying. It's the same kind of positivity. And let's say that after that I get in a car wreck and you never see me again because I fucking died. How are you gonna feel? Are you gonna feel proud? Are you even gonna remember that? Are you even gonna remember that you did that to me? If you really like me and value me, appreciate me, or love me, that should horrify you and terrify you and fill you with regret. Because, oh my God, she wanted to tell me something really bad and didn't let her talk because I was too caught up on myself. And some people may interpret me saying something like that as I'm making it seem like I'm blaming the other person for getting mad in the first place, like some kind of manipulative tactic. That's not the point. I'm just trying to let you know that life is very real. Things like this do happen to people. You're not immune or exempt from it. Act like that is going to happen to you. Act like whenever you're talking to me and I'm right in front of your face at that moment in time, act like that is the last time you're going to see me, because it very well could be. I don't know how people are not afraid of that. You take people for granted so much, and maybe that's why when tragedy strikes, you all fall apart and break the fuck down forever, or it takes you a long time to recover. Only people who do not take the time to think deeply about things go through that, or at least to the severity that you do. I'm treated as a cold person because I have thought about that stuff, and when stuff happens, I'm not shocked. I recover instantly. With something like this, sure, I will celebrate your accomplishments, but also remember that just because something that's maybe a long-lasting achievement, a long-lasting positive, say by long-lasting, I mean, let's say that you get a job that pays you really well, we're celebrating that, and you have this job for like 5 years or so, that's kind of long-lasting, 10 years or so. Just because you're going to have this job for a long period of time doesn't mean that prosperity and positive things are going to happen for that prolonged period of time. In between that prolonged period of time, life continues to happen. There is stuff that is pertinent to that time frame that I may need to express during the time that you may feel your blissful sailing, your accomplishment, your achievement. So sure, be ecstatic. Life should be about happy things too. But also remember that, especially on a global scale, if you want people to be on board with you, we are with you. But understand that, say, if this thing that you're celebrating is happening during a time I'm having a medical problem, or my vehicle broke down, or I got fired from my job, or I'm short on money, therefore I'm worried. Don't be offended that I'm feeling my feelings of worry when you're present. I may have my 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes of being excited for you because you have my attention. You're telling me about your accomplishment, and I'm sharing your happiness. But don't be upset if after your turn of telling me about your achievement is over, I start talking, it's my turn to talk, and what I share may not be delightful. I am sorry that my real life is not one of delight like yours is. For the people who have said that your happiness offends me, I would look at it that way. I think the only way someone's happiness would offend me is if your happiness changes who and what you are, or at least in my life, who I know you to be, what you represent. You cannot talk to me about negative things because I'm happy now. I don't want you to ruin my joy. And if you guys have been here for a long time, you may remember a video I made years ago. Maybe I repeated it within the past year, but it was something about how when I was a teen, you guys know I was super depressed. That's when my depression began, and I really didn't have a way to control it because, you're a kid. I remember that we were going to hang out with someone who was coming from a few states away. Then I was just not happy, and I'm not someone who hides emotions. I've never been fake. I've never been someone to, if I'm having a shit time in my life, I'm not just gonna smile through it because I don't want to smile at that moment in time. And I was given the freedom of expressing, first of all, sensing feelings and expressing them for a reason. There are times in which I'll be blissful. There are times in which I'm not going to want to smile, and that's fine. But there are some people who they freak out if they don't have this appearance. And that's what was happening to me. This person was having a good time, and I'm like, well, I'm not having a good time. And I was showing it internally, quiet, not being disruptive in any way. But this person looked at me, and they went, ugh, can you change that face? Because people who look like you ruin my day. I was hurting. Needless to say, hearing this from this individual hurt even deeper. But then I said, you know what? That is the sign that I needed, that you're just really self-absorbed and that you don't care about me. And that's fine. I guess I'm truly alone in this world. Anyway, and I think after that incident, I want to say that's what began my feelings of I'm not important. Not only did I have that seed planted in me by my dad abandoning me, but I feel like events like that just reinforced it. And that's when my brain tissue began to be scarred by events like that. And now that I'm grown and I have people who do care and support me and they show it, it's like that scarred tissue is still up there. Sometimes when I see a behavior that reminds me of those times and I'm on the receiving end of it, I'm like, oh, okay, nothing has changed from the time that I was 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. The reason I take the time, like always, to give you that kind of extra detail is so that you can see that, yes, I can get behind something like this, but also remember that I will always be a realistic person, a methodical person. We can have your 5 minutes to 2 hours of celebration, something like that, but I'm not going to linger in that celebratory ride because real life is still happening. I think that some people may fall in that trap. They may fall in the trap of, well, I'm celebrating the good times. I'm only going to focus about the good time. Therefore, during a good time, when I'm celebrating, I'm eating junk food. Well, I'm going to continue to eat junk food and be sedentary. To give you an example of how things can fall apart. It's just one of those things that I think celebrating achievements is always going to happen. Nobody is going to take that away from you. But also understand that just because somebody is not in the same wavelength as you, wanting to celebrate for as long as you want to celebrate, it doesn't mean that we're not delighted for you. It just means that we are being overwhelmed and perhaps even overcome by our own challenges, our own quest to achieve success in the way that you have, however temporary yours is, or however big your accomplishment is. Some of us feel inspired by your achievement, but some of us also like to not forget that we have pending matters. Thus, we have to preserve our focus. It doesn't mean that we're party poopers or like we cannot relax for a moment. It just means that once we have fired up our brain to the capacity that it is, we like to hold on to it because other things, such as exhaustion, discouragement, things like that, it can play on your mind and weigh it down. And some of us just have a different way of coping with it. I may not be as ecstatic as you are, but internally, I may be saying a prayer for you, saying, hey, I hope that this gets better, even better for you. You're on your way to achieving your things. May you experience many more blessings, things like that. But you also got to understand that I'm the kind of person who I don't just say entertaining, stupid commentary just to fill the air with noise. Sometimes I have thoughts of joy and feeling proud about you that I just don't share, I just don't express. If you were to confront me about it, you're gonna see that I can tell you a ton of things that you were not expecting I was gonna say, because I have already processed. The way I process things is quietly. Some people just process things. I don't know how this works because this is not how I am, but maybe some of you process things by being loud and talking about it and appearing to me like you're not focused and instead you're distracted. Or maybe you process this on your own in your quiet time, but some people never have quiet time because you may be distracted by your phone, or something is going to put noise and sounds and thoughts in your brain, and you never have quiet time to just sit down by yourself and think for yourself. That's what I'm talking about. Like I keep saying, accomplishments are great. They're going to continue to be celebrated. No one is going to take that from you. But you don't be offended if not everybody can live up to the same excitement that you're living. We can support you. And I don't know, let's say that for some reason in the same day that you find out that you accomplished something, like half an hour prior, I happened to get news that a loved one died, and somehow I was able to answer your call or able to meet up with you while you were celebrating and inviting me to such celebration that I decide to show up. I may continue to have those bad news marinating in my brain, and you ask me, you seem a little down, what's going on? And I discreetly let you know that's what's happening. Can you imagine if you roasted me because I look serious during your celebration and then I disclose to you what's happening and then you go, oh, I didn't know. I have a literal video dedicated to the people who say, well, I didn't know. Remember, celebrations may not arrive at an opportune time for everybody. You don't be offended if we're not all as hyped as you are about your accomplishment. But also, I do think that some people who get offended that you're having success and having accomplishments, those people too have issues. I don't want to make it seem like the person celebrating is the evil person here. Just know that some people just may not be able to share your celebration because they're hurting in a very deep way. All you gotta do is just move on. Just count your blessings, move on, or be like, all right, well, just so you know, this change is happening in my life and I'm excited. However, that doesn't mean that I cannot be here for you. Let me know if there's some way that I can help, if there's something I can do for you. Or, matter of fact, I am going to be here for you so you don't need anything, as opposed to I'll be there if you need anything. But yes, the people who get offended by other people doing well and having happy things going on in their lives, those have issues too. We all have issues. So I think it's a matter of being considerate. You, as the unhappy person, you still gotta be considerate to the person achieving things, but the person achieving things also needs to remember to be considerate of those who are going through that tougher season now. But in the future, maybe I'll make that video officially the video about your happiness offends me. I'm not sure. I saw that some weeks ago. While I could see what it meant, I feel like maybe the topic needed to be presented in this way for me to have the stream of thoughts that I just spat out to you guys. Does that make sense? Maybe this card topic is that topic. I just decided to take it from the perspective of the accomplished person as opposed to the unaccomplished feeling the offense. So basically take everything that I said and invert it, and that should serve as the "your happiness offends me" video. But if not, if something substantial comes to mind and I wish to share, then maybe I'll do that, make the adjustment. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts and I'll see you soon.